What's up? I am David Long. Big thanks to my buddies Bruce Alderman and Layman Pascal for having me on the Integral stage to talk about podcasts. As you know, Alyosha and I do Integral Review Live podcast where we talk about movies and books and things. So I am here today to invite you to go to the Integral stage and to watch my talk with Layman Pascal. We get into all kinds of interesting topics. Here is a sample clip.
I am a Layman Pascal, and you've tuned into the Integral Stage Meta Podcast, where we chat with people who are trying to evolve, expand, integrate, deepen, or transmute culture and themselves through podcasts, YouTubery, and other forms of online content. Who are these people? What are they collectively pointing towards, and how could we amplify, clarify, and interlink them? That's the project, and helping me think through it today is hip-hop geek, integralite, and aggressive foe of latent irrationalism, David Long. How are you, David?
What's up? Doing great. Man, that was an epic intro. You did so well on that.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. First question, how do we instantly and completely solve racism forever?
Man, all you got to do is say Black Lives Matter 3 times and click your heels and it's all good.
All right. Second
well, I'm really interested in the disagreements in the integral community. And so I tend to want to get into it about that. You know, we have enough common ground and common agreements about things that those areas of disagreement become more highlighted and more important. It's like, look, you have so much common agreement with people. You think we should agree, and at the end of the day, we come to different conclusions, and those conclusions can end up making a big difference. And so it can be important to get in there and figure out what's going on with that.
One of the things I've seen, one of the areas I've seen you try to get into a lot is whether or not people are embodying the pre-trans fallacy correctly. Why do you think you're so keyed toward that aspect?
Well, Joseph Campbell was my favorite teacher before I came into integral circles. And one of the things that I knew that I wanted in an integral community and an integral space was this ability to have a good dialogue around religious topics and religious subjects, and to be able to appreciate the poetry from all these different traditions, but also realize that the map is not the territory and not get too lost in the symbolism. I was very excited to be in a community of people who could speak like this and could talk like this. Like, I think, you know, the misconception from a lot of people is that I'm like into science or something like that. No, I'm not. I'm into poetry. I'm into religion. I'm into the symbolism. And that's why I think it's important to know how to harmonize science and rationality with religion and spiritual practice, and to really get it right and to make these distinctions. And so for me, like, that was like one of the main things that I was looking for in a community of people who I was wanting to consider my peers, is that we could have reasonable discussions around this stuff and start to develop a common language together, new ways of speaking together, that like transvaluation of values. That's part of the integral project as far as I'm concerned.
That's interesting. I like the idea that myth and poetry and spiritual experience aren't being honored well enough without clarifying their boundary and general definition better.
Yeah, because you don't want to talk, like, you're reluctant to talk about this stuff with people who aren't really going to understand the distinctions. It's like, you don't want to speak poetry to a person who's taking it literally, because it's like, no, you're confusing me. I'm using this poetically. I'm not literally implying the thing. And, you know, within our community of the adequate, we should, you know, be on the same page about that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, as a tendency in the integral community, a lot of people who, well, maybe not a lot, some people definitely, who feel like it's the old science and religion arguments, and that they're the non-overlapping magisteria. And what integral means is just everybody's perspective is held next to each other and validated. And like, anybody's mystical experience is just completely valid because that's how they experienced it. And I think that underserves the community, both in terms of getting to a trans deconstructed point of view by understanding the difference between interpretation as a surface phenomenon and interpretation as a depth phenomenon. Some people act and speak like there's no interpretation in their spiritual experiences. And when you
Right.
talk to them about the interpretation they're bringing, they think you're talking about a surface phenomenon. And you're talking about it in terms of what you say, yeah, the structure you're perceiving. What is the structure that you're calling that? And they'll just go, no, I experienced it, and therefore it's called that. It's a very nuanced distinction that's very hard to make. But like you're saying, if you can have a conversation about real spirituality and mysticism and poetry with somebody who can make that distinction, it like rockets to a whole other level of satisfaction.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's really important what you're saying there. Most people just don't get this. And their interpretation of their experience is indeed very personal and rooted in this kind of circular reasoning and confirmation bias. And I would really think that by the time we get to integral stages and we start to bring all these distinctions online, it should be really clear to us, hopefully by now, by looking at not only all the different boons and all the good things, but all the different ways that people fall into the same patterns of superstition in different traditions, right? It's all this kind of confirmation bias, circular reasoning within the tradition, causation correlation fallacies, and this kind of like sunk cost thing that's happening. Like the further down that rabbit hole you go, the more confirmation bias you have, the more you interpret it in terms of that circular reasoning. You're just like, no, I've had so many experiences where this was confirmed to me or whatever. It's just, I just know it's true. You know, it's like, and it's like, this is how people believe in everything that's non-rational. Like people use this methodology to be a Christian, a Muslim, a Hindu, to believe in, like almost anything. Like, and so I think in general, most people don't question their ideas or try to falsify them. They don't like use the same, they don't apply that kind of rigorous methodology to be skeptical and try to deconstruct the stuff, kind of what I've learned is that personal experience is probably the least reliable thing that we have. It's like the least reliable quadrant. And like you said, most people take language for granted completely and just have this like type of naivete where they think, oh, words just talk about what is. It's like, no, your words shape the way that you think about what is in a way that it seems like you're not really, that you're taking for granted. Words shape our perspective and experience of reality as much as they talk about things, And so if you don't realize this interpretation thing, then you're definitely going to be stuck in that perspective.
So you sound very reasonable. Why do you think people treat you as an over-aggressive, materialistic reductionist?
Well, I think the thing that you normally see, especially as an integralist from both sides, is that when you take a position, even as an integralist, even if it's like a middle position and it's like a reasonable synthesis or something, if another person is coming from an extreme perspective, oh well, you must be like a liberal then. Oh well, then you must be a conservative, or it's like the whatever extreme they're coming from, they want to project the opposite extreme on you, right? Like, oh, you're this other thing that's my opponent, But I mean, it's probably not all shadow projection. You know what I mean? I don't want to reduce it to that, but that's definitely a thing. You know what I mean? I think another thing too is that there's this kind of like, and I think it's like, it goes back to Wilbur and Buddhism and probably has something a little bit to do with like white privilege of a lot of the people in our spaces too. But there's this kind of like, like just chill. Like, let's all just talk endlessly in circles. And like we're up here, we're the smartest, we're the best, we're doing philosophy. And I'm kind of like, the world needs us. Like, I'm used to being poor. I'm used to the struggle. I know people in the struggle. Like, I see the injustice in the world, and I don't just watch it from my, ivory tower. I'm like down here in it with these people. And I want to see integral ideas help the world. And so when you come into this space with these with these, standards and expectations for what integral as a community and as a people are supposed to be and supposed to be doing, it's hard not to be like, wait, what? This is what we're doing? Like, I thought we would be doing something better than this, and then, on the back end of that, I think it's like, okay, well, you know what, like, I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to try to like help get some of this stuff going. And then as soon as you come into these spaces and you're like, let's get organized, let's do better. Let's have standards. Let's fix some of our problems. Let's have better leadership. They're like, hold on now. Like, you're why are you being such like an authoritarian or like a cop or a control freak and all this stuff? It's like, I think we need to get some stuff done. Like, that, you know, how are we going to build together if we don't establish any kind of games to play to make that happen? How are we going to maintain the integrity of our brand and our culture and do something good in the world? Like, I don't know, to me, you know, I have these high standards and these high expectations for what I would like us to be doing. And, you know, I think when you come into some of these spaces and you have people who aren't necessarily thinking in this kind of way, yeah, I seem probably like an egomaniac or like a narcissist or an authoritarian or, you know, a straight materialist, calling, you know, well, yeah, I mean, you know, like overly critical, probably an asshole, like all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, like I'm shaking things up a bit. I'm trying to get things going. I'm drawing lines in the sand. And if people want to join me in trying to get some stuff going, great. If people don't want to, you know, that's fine too.
Do you think it's working?
What a great question. I think it's okay. I think it's helped people, like, because I've heard from them. You know what I mean? I think it's working. Yeah, I do. I think it's slow. And, you know, I haven't rushed it. Like, there's lots of stuff that I still have planned that I want to do that I'm not talking about because it's not ready. And I don't want to, like, get people excited when I'm not, like, ready to do anything about it. You know what I mean? So getting my ducks in a row, like, a few people know what I'm about and what I'm doing. And in the meantime, I'm just trying to work on getting a little bit organized and trying to, like, clean up the house of Integral and, like, make some different alternatives and get some conversations going, potentially, you know, try to have more debates and some alternative perspectives. And yeah, like, I think it's slowly working. I don't know if it's working as much as any of us would like to see it be working, but maybe we can reach kind of a point to where this and this happen, and now maybe we'll have the energy to, like, push forward and, like, really get it going into something that we can all be proud of.
Thanks so much for watching. Go watch the rest of this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel, of course, but also to the Integral Stage.